Time to shine. Today, Varsity Squad, it is Scott Ferguson. And you know what? I launched my podcast about, I don't know, maybe 9-10 months ago. And I should have a long time before. But the reason why I didn't is, one, I was scared and I was a little bitch. And two, I didn't have somebody like my next guest, the fantastic Sebastian Rusk from the podcast launchlab.com. You got to go visit it. His information's in my show notes. The area for you to opt in and get a free copy of the top 5 reasons your brand needs a podcast. Sebastian is an author, speaker, coach, and digital storyteller. He helps marketers and entrepreneurs tell their story by starting a podcast with my podcast launch solution, the podcastlaunchlab.com, which takes you from idea to iTunes in 90 days or less. So he is going to shorten your learning curve on getting that podcast launch. And listen, man, you need to build authority as a brand no matter what you are doing out there. Okay, so I'm going to bring on Sebastian. Welcome to the show. Can you please introduce yourself to the Varsity Squad? But first, Sebastian, what's your favorite color and why?
Scott, what's up, dude? What a random, I don't know, blue, maybe?
Yeah,
how about green? Color of cash.
You're a podcaster, dude. The reason why I do the color, one, I like to get the, a little bit about them. But two, like all my autograms and shit like that for you is all going to show up as blue. You know what I'm saying? So I like to get that out of the way. So,
I like that little hack right there.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, man. So let's get to the origins, man. Because like Squad, this guy is a rock star in the teaching how to really launch a podcast the right way. All right, man. You go to his YouTube videos. I picked up, like, he has this one from voice to book that I've watched like 3 times, which helped me writing my book. I'm going to tell you that right now. But this guy is a plethora of information. So, man, let's get to the origins, brother. Let's see where you started and what got you the podcast launch lab.
Absolutely. So I started young. I didn't go to college. I got out of high school and I had a kid. So I don't recommend that strategy, but for me, it worked out because I just went to work. I got a big boy job, moved to Chicago. My daughter was born. Got another opportunity in Southern California because Chicago was too cold, and made my way to Orange County, California, and was there for 10 years. Made my first $100,000. Had a great job that I moved there for, and won Salesman of the Year and came back and quit because I looked at the numbers and I thought I made this guy $750,000 this year and I took home 100. Like, those numbers are never going to work for me.
Right. So
I became an entrepreneur, and I've never looked back. When I was in Southern California, I did direct marketing for real estate professionals.
Okay.
Then the market crashed. We all know what happened there. And I woke up every day having to pay $10,000 a month just to live. And there's no income coming in because there's no banks lending anything and no clients selling homes, and nobody needs my marketing services. So I found myself in a difficult situation. I came back for a friend's wedding in March of 2008 and decided that it was time to come home, that the ground was falling out from underneath me. Newport Beach is a very expensive place to live when you're losing your ass, and just coming back home and starting over probably made the most sense. So I moved back here. Same thing happened here that happened in Southern California, but a year later,
right,
a little bit behind California. So from 2008, 2010, I did nothing. People would say, what do you do? I'm like, nothing. Right, so 2010, I met a friend who works for Tony Robbins, and we connected here in Miami, and she asked me what was next for me after I said that I do nothing. And I said, I don't know. And she's like, that's a problem. She's like, you sent me this video that you recorded. You're trying to like regroup yourself, rebuild yourself rather. Maybe you can do something in social media. You've been messing around with social media since 2004, like the beginning.
Right.
Start a YouTube channel. So I said, there's a lot of buzz around social media, Social Buzz TV, and that became my company name. I sent it to a designer 3 days later, and then I had a logo. So I still had no car, no money. I had a skateboard and a bus pass and a logo. So I felt that, if you play the part long enough, you become the part. So I just started running around town telling everybody I was going to launch the biggest, baddest social media company on the planet, and nobody even knew what that meant.
Right.
Then I started doing networking events, bringing people together, bringing events sponsors in that would align with the event, and bringing people together. And soon people said, I've been to your event. I met one of your sponsors. I see what you do. Maybe you can help me out with my social media. So I opened my agency in 2011. In 2013, wrote a book called Social Media Sucks If You Don't Know What You're Doing, to tell this whole story. And then also my opinion on social media, where we're at, where we're going, and just my general opinion, and a kind of a call to action to people to really start taking this stuff seriously, because it's not going anywhere. Right. I had the privilege of learning underneath a dear friend and mentor of mine by the name of Gary Vaynerchuk way back in 2010. So I followed Gary's blueprint all these years. I still do to this day. And he's, we all know that he's just become an absolute just powerhouse. And He gets trends. He's able to predict where we're going, how it's all going to play out. And, I followed that. In 2016, I had a giant awakening, if you will, for myself. There was some inner work that needed to be done. And unbeknownst to me, it was going to get done whether I liked it or not. So I met a girl on a dating app in March of 2016. She introduced me to a personal development course in Fort Lauderdale, which I proceeded to do the first part and the second part that radically changed my life. Her and I didn't work out, but the course ended up working out. But I
What was
didn't
the name
work
of that
much.
course?
Gratitude training.
Oh yeah, gratitude. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
It's
very cool.
absolutely unbelievable.
It's good
So,
stuff. Yeah.
forever changed my path, but I didn't get much work done. I let all my clients go, and I was really questioning what I wanted to do because I didn't want to be pigeonholed in that category of like Sebastian, the social media guy. That's like, real estate agent, personal trainer, social media manager, like the most common titles this day and age. And I really wanted to separate myself because I believe you need to do that in order to create a niche and really have a strong, not only personal brand, but brand for the company. So 2016 had a big awakening post training, woke up, got out of my own way, fell in love with myself, understood what I really needed and what was possible, which was anything. So I went and rented a desk in the same building I'm in right now for $200 a month. It was down on the 5th floor. I'm on the 6th now. And I wrote out a plan to help people start a podcast because a friend had said, hey, why don't you start a solution or create a solution to help people start a podcast? Because I don't know how. And I'm on this internet radio station right now. And I'm like, what does that mean? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, that's a problem. So I saw a gaping hole there. So I created the Podcast Launch Lab. And then I spent the next 18 months trying to figure out who my ideal client was. And at the end of last year, I figured out that it's a person just like me.
Yeah.
A marketer and an entrepreneur, an author, speaker, coach, person of authority that knows their natural next step is to start a podcast. So, we are rocking and rolling. Regardless of how crazy 2020 has been, it seems that everyone has a
time to
strong,
start one.
a stronger interest in starting a podcast now, just due to the fact that why not? What else is there to do? So, and that's businesses, brands, personal brands, individuals, groups, etc. So thankfully been extremely blessed. My crazy ideas have become a reality. We are well on our way to helping 100 marketers and entrepreneurs
That's awesome.
Start a podcast. And my second book drops in about 2 weeks. Called Podcasts Suck If You Don't Have One. So I'm real excited about what's going to what's to come with the next book. And as we continue to grow the Podcast Launch Lab, it was just a service in the beginning, Scott. Now it's turned into a movement where I've built a community. I just launched my mastermind a couple months back, and that brings all of my existing students and past students together to network. And then I do monthly training so that everybody stays on their toes with their show and ongoing production. And we help out with editing and stuff like that. So, we're well on our way to creating a podcast network. And then from there, the monetization opportunities are just endless, not only for helping us monetize the shows that we've launched, but also helping us monetize the podcast agency in general. I mean, this thing has become so much bigger than I could ever imagine. And I'm sure it's going to continue to blow my mind, but man, I'm fired up. I'm doing shit that matters finally.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah, you find that passion, you light it, you do things in the service of others who love what you do, man. That's freaking awesome. Listen, so what do you think makes a great podcaster?
Somebody who knows how to tell a story effectively and have a conversation. I always use Joe Rogan as a great example because he's just he's not only a phenomenal interviewer, but he's a phenomenal storyteller, and his attention to detail. And I try to model a lot of that. And I was listening to the most recent one. Well, it's not a recent episode, but he just promoted it again now that he's moved to Spotify. And, Tyson's fighting in a couple months. So it was the Mike Tyson interview.
Yeah, I listened to it the other day. Yeah.
Wasn't it great? And Mike tells the story of how he's able to buy 2, tiger cubs while still in prison from his buddy that can get exotic. He's like, when I got home, they were just waiting for me. A great podcaster knows how to not only tell a story, but effectively be able to conduct an interview. And I think an effective interview is defined by the 80-20 rule that Larry King has always talked about, making the interview 80% about your guest and 20% about what you're saying. And if you want to elaborate on things, say the word why after you get a response to dig a little bit deeper, but keep the focus on somebody you're interviewing. But I believe it's effective storytelling. I like to refer to it as constructive brain picking, because if you want to pick somebody's brain, it's very easy to do that via your podcast or an interview setting. So
love it.
That was kind of long-winded, but yeah.
No, you're good, man. That's fantastic. I got notes that I'm just taking because I'll tell you what, guys. I mean, again, I really wish I would have known Sebastian back then. I'm still picking up tips and steps from him even to this day. So, Sebastian, if I'm out at a networking event, which here in South Florida, we're able to do a little bit, but, or even virtually, man, and I'm talking to somebody and I'm shutting my mouth and listening, what kind of things are they saying to me that would make them a good contact referral connection for the podcast launch lab?
Somebody who knows that they've got something to talk about and they want to be able to build an additional channel that's an extension of their brand that enables them to connect with people. You have to understand your podcast is a strategy to connect with other human beings. It's not for you to sit and talk about what you do and how you do it and how cool you think you are, right? It's always like, well, this is a great idea, right? To you or to everybody else. So it's very important to identify that, but understanding that, you've got a story to tell, that you've got content to be able to create that's extremely valuable, that benefits and changes people's lives. If you have the ability to do that while connecting with other human beings, all kinds of opportunities are possible and all kinds of different unique things pop up. So, who's an ideal person that should start a podcast? Somebody who has that gut feeling that it's crossed your mind more than once. That's more than an indication that you should start it. Next step is to figure out why. And once you get clear on that why, you're off to the races. You're either going to launch the podcast on your own, extremely hard to do. You have to be very disciplined, or you're going to hire an agency like ours that walks you from A to Z, from idea to iTunes, like I say, with the launch solution, hold you accountable for doing that. But
idea to iTunes.
What's that?
ID to iTunes.
Idea to iTunes. Right?
Idea to
a lot of
iTunes.
people say, a lot of people say, I want to start a podcast. I just don't know why. Well, once you figure out that why, then, it's time to start creating the idea of it. And that's really my gift. We can sit down with a blank canvas and in an hour and a half have a show name, a tagline.
Is your first step really having them identify their avatar?
Their why.
Okay. Their why first. Yeah. Okay. All right. Gotcha. So when you bring somebody into your coaching program and you might have an open forum or whatnot, is there any good questions that you wish they would ask you but never do?
No, not really. Because usually they want to hear about my story and they want to hear about branding and they want to hear about podcasting, and I can talk about that in my sleep. So usually, I
want to hear about your fails, dude. I want to see where you fall in your fucking face, man.
Yeah,
I want to hear those stories,
that's I was just thinking about that earlier today, and I don't know if they're considered failures. I think they're more just lessons of what didn't work. And I thought, I think it was 2000. It was like I just opened the agency, so it was like 2011, 2012. I had this great idea to start this company or this brand called the Social Buzz University. And I was going to be the professor. And that's where the bow tie actually was born, believe it or not, was that I was shooting videos in my living room with my flip cam with a lab coat on, because I was like, professor, I've never been to college, but maybe a bow tie would look like a professor. So I tied it all wrong and shot these videos. And I thought it was going to be and I created a whole course on, Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, and it was online and you can have access for $99 a month. And I invested like $5,000 into it. I got my buddy to invest, and like nobody signed up except for like one friend of mine.
Right.
So that was an epic fail.
Nice.
Looking back, I'm just not aligned with teaching you how to use Twitter. There's plenty of information available on the internet to be able to do that.
That can do that shit. I just hand that stuff off.
Right. So it's funny how that worked out, because had I even signed up, 500 people, to be part of the university as students, if you will, paying ongoing, you have to continue to maintain that content, create new content. So now we fast forward 10 years, it's a lot different now. Now we actually, my mastermind's great. I know every other Monday I'm doing a live training in my group at 1:00. And if you miss it, you catch the replay.
Nice.
I can, I've got people can ask questions. They can network. That's already happening. There was only 10 of us when we started a couple of weeks ago on the first training, and everyone and their brothers asking, can I be connected to this person and that person? It's fantastic. So
I love it.
Think about it. You hire us to start your podcast, then you launch your podcast, rather. You launch your podcast, and then you get to continue to rinse and repeat on a lower level. Lower level meaning it's not as intense, because we're not building the launch. We're just recording new episodes, uploading, becoming part of the community and networking from there. So I didn't create that as an add-on to continue to sell something to someone.
Sure.
That was created out of my students going, well, the show is launched now. What do we do? And I'm like, well, go find an editor.
Right.
And they're like, well, why can't you just do it? So after enough of those why can't you just do it requests, I created a solution and then launched the podcast launch up. And it holds me accountable, right?
Yeah,
so the mastermind group holds me accountable. It was a little bit of a slow start. Nobody showed up for the first couple trainings. I was starting to question what I did. And then I had a student reach out and go, yo, what's up with the live trainings? And I said, nobody showed up to the first two, so I'm trying to figure this out.
Right.
Verbatim goes, I don't give a shit if no people show up. I'll be there, and that's reason enough to go and do it.
And I'm fucking paying, so like, let's go.
Right. I mean, again, it's an added bonus. A majority of our ongoing is the is the ongoing production and access to me. But that is a nice added bonus on there to know that you've got ongoing training, access to me through that, and the ability to network with other individuals. So,
what separates you from, say, other people that are teaching podcasting, say like Podcasters Paradise or Coach Chris's podcast launch? Like what separates you a little bit from?
Yeah, I don't know, because I got the blinders on, and I just don't care what anyone else is doing, because no one's me.
You're doing everything in the service of people though, right?
100%. And that's what I'm focused on. And as long as I continue to deliver on that tip, there can be 100 people that start up, they'll be popping up all over the place. They already are. Oh, we do that too type deal. You know what I mean? And that's totally cool. I think there's enough to go around. There's only 1 million podcasts, but I know, right? I've got 10 years underneath my belt of a solid personal brand. In addition to the brand and then what my community says about that. And if you have that, you're unstoppable. There's plenty to go around. So
absolutely, man.
I don't know what everybody else does. I have no idea. That's cool. I do know I get hired by people that have hired other people. So they work with both of us because they want to work with me. So I know that works. You know what I mean? So,
very cool.
Now,
are you a subscription base, or like, how does it go? How does it work?
So the program is, the 90-day program's $49.95. So it's a one-time fee of $49.95. And then you have an ongoing option to have your episodes edited, become part of the mastermind, and still have access to me for remote coaching for $500 a month. So those are all optional, ongoing. But it's initial, when you look at the fact of being able to, let's just say that you signed up for the program and you only stuck around for editing for 5 months, that you've dumped $7,500 into your podcast in 8 months, right? Or in 7 months, whatever it may be. And then you decided, you know what, I want to bring somebody in house because I got a studio here. I got the ability to just edit and control from here, and Sebastian can help me transition into that. If you invested $7,500 within a year to launch your podcast, you just back those numbers out. And how many products or services that you sell as a brand do you have to sell in order to recoup that? And usually when you do that math, it's not a lot. Right. So that's what I always encourage people to think about when thinking about, am I going to outsource this? Am I doing it? Now, don't get me wrong. Let me disclose to you. You can download the Anchor app today and start your podcast today without spending $1. You can go in your closet with an iPhone. It has an impeccable mic and record your little brains out. And it's not going to cost you a penny. Yeah. People, but again, the accountability and the coaching part is huge. I'm a student myself. $5,000 for a YouTube course, paid $8,000 for a funnel build out and that whole Facebook ad campaign. I am a student of understanding.
You practice what you preach, man.
100%.
Do you help with monetization, like with your students, on helping them getting the podcast monetized and stuff like that, or like
we currently, in fact, that was the first training in the mastermind, which is how to monetize your podcast. And I've defined 8 ways to be able to go do that. And one of those is what I just mentioned, which is, how many products or services do you have to sell in order to recoup your investment of hiring somebody to help you start a podcast?
Right.
So selling your own products or services is one option. Selling actual items is another. So t-shirts, hand sanitizer, coffee cups, coasters, signing up for affiliate programs like an Amazon affiliate. So when you're talking about specific things, you can send people in your show notes to a specific affiliate link. Advertisers and sponsors are definitely a possibility, but you must get in there and help them understand how cool you are and why they should invest a specific amount. Now, the flip side to that is going to a brand or an existing client that you're already familiar with and going, listen, I'm just launching a podcast. We got a great relationship already. I've got some introductory sponsor spots for $250 a clip. Are you in? And go find 10 of those and sell them a 60-second spot on your podcast, and just make up the rules as you go. And you continue to grow. You can monetize
That's what I did. That's exactly what I did. I love it. Hey, so let's get in our DeLorean, man. Let's go hang out with Marty McFly for a minute here. Let's go back to the 22, 23-year-old Sebastian. What kind of knowledge nuggets are you dropping on him with the knowledge that you have right now?
Slow the fuck down.
Yeah. Yep.
Like way down, but keep the drive and keep working hard. Number one, and you don't have all the answers, and you're a dick sometimes, and you need to understand that it's not all about you.
Right.
The earth rotates the complete opposite direction.
Would he listen?
Absolutely not.
Me neither, dude.
I would have laughed at him. Same thing. Laughed at him. Like, later, guy. Yeah, you're cool. Yeah.
Hey, so I want to know, in the squad wants to know how you want your dash remembered, man. That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date, your life and death date. How do you want Sebastian's dash to be remembered?
That's a good one. Well, I got another good 60 years in me, so I got a lot of shit to do. So lived with passion and changed people's lives.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do too, man. Your energy is freaking infectious, man.
Thanks, man.
You know, and it's awesome. That's
Ryan
why
Dice from digitalmarketer.com calls me a tornado of enthusiasm.
Love it. Love it. You know, it's funny you mentioned Gary Vee, man. I shared a suite with him a couple times in football games, and the guy is just, he's amazing, man. A lot of people don't like him because he's brash. Me,
Tell me
I
how
love
chill,
it, man.
tell me how super chill and laid back and focused he is when he's talking to you.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, he's like there. He's super present.
Like
So what's
they're there, and you don't have. There's no over the top.
Yeah.
Like you just have like the guy is just, he's like one of those people that's just nice. Like people don't understand the heart cool, that kid has is absolutely unbelievable. Yeah. So yeah, he had a conference down here a couple of years ago, Agent 2021. Mm-hmm. And I spent the day with him. In fact, met his mom and met his sister, became friends with his sister when we were there, and just had a great time spending it came full circle. You know, we got a chance to sit down and said, you know, here we are 8 years later, and it's all your fault. You know,
it's awesome you're connected with him like that. That's fantastic. So what is the BIG, the big thing that Sebastian wants to accomplish through helping these people?
I want to build a community that enables me to empower them to monetize what they've built. So phase 1, our launch program. Phase 2, guest research and booking, getting you booked on other podcasts that are strategic and getting a guest booked on your podcast that are strategic. Phase 3, we're going to introduce that like Q2 of 2021 will be the advertiser and sponsor and biz dev opportunity matchmaking.
Love it.
So you've launched your show. We continue to produce your show. You're in our mastermind. The show continues to grow. We start identifying opportunities and we go structure and put the deal together and run it by you. It'll be a go always because there's cash or some sort of, there's some sort of conversion happening based on the deal we're putting together. And we're just taking a piece of the action for putting everything together. So and then taking the whole show offline. Where we'll be doing the podcast launch lab live. I'll be the MC. My keynote speakers will be the show host that we've launched. Our sponsors will be the advertisers and sponsors that we play matchmaker with. And we'll pack the house with 10,000 people. And it's going to be, and then Spotify's going to knock on the door and cut me a check for $250 million. And it's, I'll see you later. I'll be in the Caribbean.
I love it. I love it. You're doing it all in the service of people, helping them level up. So let's take out your microphone. Let's take out anything electronic. What's 3 things that Sebastian can't live without?
Sports. So it's like sports. Gosh, my bike. I like my bike a lot. Got a mountain bike. And
chicken wings. You like chicken wings? Because I can't live without chicken.
Oh, pizza. There we go. Pizza.
I always say chicken wings.
Beer and pizza. Yeah. There we go.
I love it. I love it. Hey, what's your definition of a life well lived, Sebastian?
A life of service.
Love it.
That took a long time to figure out too, by the way.
Me
I would
too.
have told my 23-year-old self that too. Hey, listen. Yeah. Well, I did. Yeah. How about you?
Right. Yeah, dude. I found it out. Like I used to invest in real estate, and I still invest in real estate, but I used to prey on other people's misfortunes, man. I mean, like, oh, you're losing your house. Too bad. I'll still buy it from you cheap and move you on. Right. Now it's like saving it. And, I set up programs, help them save their property instead, and either keep them in or sell it and help them their credit. So as we wind things down, I got my leveling up lightning round here, Sebastian. You and I could talk 15, 20 minutes, but you got 5 seconds to answer. No explanations. You ready to rock?
Let's do it.
All right, let's level up. What's the best leveling up advice you've ever received?
It takes longer than you think.
Love it. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Waking up at 5 a.m.
Beautiful, beautiful. Not the book you're reading now, not the books you wrote. If I'm in my doldrums, I'm just not feeling it. What book are you, Fergie? Read this book.
Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl.
Viktor Frankl, my man. Good answer. What's your most commonly used emoji when you text?
LOL.
That's it, baby. Okay, so don't give me the age you are now. I'm talking physically. And still being able to learn and have the knowledge you have right now, physically, what age would you stay for the rest of your life if you could?
41.
There you go. Awesome. Awesome. What's your favorite charity and or organization you like to give your time and money to?
charity water.
Nice. Love that. What's the last question? You can elaborate a little bit on this one, but what is the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
Dude, you can't do that. If you could take the
Just
you know what?
mash them.
You could take the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s and smash them together. You keep the 2000s.
I know,
I don't
right?
know what anybody's even, what did they just say?
I know.
But yeah, listen, I guess, the Doors were really hot. I'd say probably the 60s.
Okay.
Because you had the Doors where they kind of capped off like early 70s after Jim kicked the bucket.
So if you don't want to answer, that's fine. How old are you, brother?
I am 41.
Okay. So yeah, you feel it. All right. So then you said your damn age. I love it, dude.
Oh, you said don't say my age.
No, you said 41. That's the age you said you'd stay for the rest of your life. That's awesome, man.
Well, you know why? Because in your 20s, you buy shit you can't afford. Right? You get into debt. In 30s, you realize what you did. And then in 40s, you realize we don't need shit. You become a minimalist and you understand you continue to have that mortality talk with yourself. Like, I'm not going to be here forever. I need to, I need to make this count.
Love it. So how can we find you, brother?
You can find me on LinkedIn. I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn. So just search for me, Sebastian Rusk. Go to SebastianRusk.com too. If you have a virtual event, sales meeting, team meeting, and you need anybody to help orchestrate and run that as far as a host or MC, I'm definitely available for hire. And I give talks on podcasting all the time too. Of course, the podcast launchlab.com is our company, and you can find podcast equipment and testimonials and reviews, and you can schedule a call with me. In fact, direct link to my calendar is podcastlaunchlabnow.com.
Okay.
That'll actually add you to my list so you get updates when I drop new YouTube videos, any type of new announcements, anything podcasting. I feed that list with as much free information as I possibly can. So it's a great resource for you. But LinkedIn, of course, it's hard to not find me online.
I think that's how I found you, actually. I mean, I've watched your videos before. They kind of came through as I was launching a podcast. But they're infectious.
Are you active on LinkedIn?
Oh yeah, very active. Yeah.
Well, we just launched Shay Rowbottom's show, so you may have found me through that process too.
Okay,
I don't know if
gotcha.
you follow Shay or not.
No, I don't, but I will definitely look into it. So, Sebastian, leave us with one last knowledge nugget you want us to take with us, internalize, and take action on, brother.
If you know that you've got a story and you've got a why that you can talk about, I don't care if it's YouTube, I don't care if it's a podcast, but you know that you've got it in you and you're not telling that story, that makes you a taker. You are being grossly negligent to your community and to the prospective community that you can build by not telling that story. I guarantee you, having lived this 41, my ripe age of 41, I don't know much. I've learned a little bit along the way, but I do know one thing, and that is the ability to create a life on your terms that serves other people equals freedom forever. And that is a very, very, very tough thing to ever argue with. So get out of your own way. That's chances are, you're in your own way. We've all been our own way. We will continue to get in our own way, but it's the accountability and the people that are willing to tell us the truth that help us actually get out of our own way so we can do shit that matters. Okay. When people start telling you things like, wow, I never thought I would get here, but I'm here. You start to realize that you're doing work that matters. So get out of your own way and start doing shit that matters.
That's fantastic. And Squad, you just had basically a free masterclass with my good friend and kind of a neighbor. And full disclosure, he's about 50 miles south of me here in South Florida. But he's going to remind us that a good podcaster can tell a solid story. And if you're interviewing people, that make it 80% about the guest and 20% about what you have to say. If you have a story, extend it to your brand. Get it told. If you know your why and you're not sharing it, it makes you a taker. So if you're afraid, get out of your own way, get with me, and I'll introduce you to Sebastian personally to get that podcast started so you can share your story. He's going to remind you young bucks out there to slow the fuck down, but still keep grinding. And if you're going to fail, like he told a great failure story, fail forward, learn from it, move forward. He wants to build a community that empowers what you have built. So he's going to help you build your idea into a podcast and help you empower it. He lives a life of service. He is fantastic. He levels up his health. He levels up his wealth. He's earned his varsity letter here with Time to Shine today. Thank you so much for coming on, Sebastian.
Thanks for having me, Scott. It was a blast.
Awesome, brother.